Hello and welcome. My name is Robin and you're watching Robin Reads, where I read a lot of different books that you probably have never heard of. So today is going to be a different kind of video. I'm going to see what my reading tastes are. Because I had a reading crisis a couple of weeks ago and I'm still not totally over that. And I just really wanted to look at my reading taste and also look at my TBR and see if that, is good, if those things, are the same. So yeah, let's get started. I have written down a lot of notes, and I'm surrounded by piles of books. But yeah, let's get started, as I said. First off, I want to talk about the genre thriller. So what do I like in thrillers? What I like in thrillers is if they are dark. So, for example, Red Dragon. This is the first book in the Hannibal Lecter series. This one is just dark. Very dark, like grim and stuff like that. And very suspenseful, intense. Therefore, I liked this book. What I also really like is detective kind of stories. For example, one of my favorite series is the Millennium Trilogy. It's not really a detective because the main character is a journalist, but sort of the same. Detective stories. And then the last thing I really like is last thing I find very important, and that is characters. So, for example, I don't really super like when, I don't know what the term is, I still can't remember it, but like thrillers with woman as a main character, there is a term for that. But I don't often quite like those. But one that I really did like was The Woman in the Window by A.J. Finn. And that was because the main character I find very, very interesting. Her mental state was just very interesting to read about. Therefore, I liked her. But then going on to the dislike side of thrillers, what I don't like is characters that I just don't vibe with. For example, Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn. I hated the two main characters. Just, especially the guy, he was just really annoying. So therefore I gave up on that book after, just quite a bit. Also, one that I just don't really like in thrillers is the unreliable main character. Most of the time it is women, which is annoying. For example, The Girl on the Train. I didn't really like that book because the main character is basically drunk the whole time and therefore she is unreliable. Same thing with The Last Time I Lied. Also unreliable. And also with The Last Time I Lied, one thing that's also very important to me in thrillers is twists. In The Last Time I Lied, I didn't like the twist, it was just meh. But for example, The Woman in the Window, I did really like the twist. So that's thriller done. Then also a little bit about horror, because that's sort of in the same vein. But horror I haven't really read a lot of. I am making a TBR for that, so that will be my next video. So please, after that video, recommend me books, because those are the books that are on my TBR, but I need more. Horror, I like psychological horror, but I will get into that in my TBR video. Then next genre, the biggest genre that I read is fantasy. So what do I like in fantasy? I like in fantasy world building. So for example, one of my favorite series is A Song of Ice and Fire. Love the world building. The Wheel of Time, I just love the world building. And also characters, again, very important. I love almost all the characters in A Song of Ice and Fire. And also, for example, the Robin Hood books. I just like Fitz a lot, therefore I like that series. And those are just the main things that I just really like in fantasy. Okay, then what I dislike in fantasy I think what I dislike in fantasy is when it has a link to the real world. So for example, recently I read Piranesi, which I really liked, but it wasn't 5 stars for me because probably of the link. Well, that's a spoiler, I think. Sorry. A link to the real world. Sorry. But also The War of the Flowers by Ted Williams had that as well. Didn't like that. I also don't like when it's too slow paced. I can get slow paced. I mean, A Song of Ice and Fire is pretty slow paced. But yeah, I don't mind that. But for example, in The Eye of the World, there is like, yeah, probably like this much of the book, quite a lot, that is too slow paced. There's nothing happening, not interesting things for the characters or for the world or whatever. I don't like that. And yeah, again, also for example, The Hunters by John Flanagan, that was also just too slow. There wasn't anything happening. Then characters are just very important to me. For example, a book that I didn't like was Strange the Dreamer because I didn't like the second main character, and yeah, therefore I didn't like the book. Also, an example for one that I think the world building was not super well done was The Priory of the Orange Tree. Also, the characters were there also a little bit meh for me, and yeah, therefore I didn't have that one, for example. Then next genre is the second genre that I read most, apparently. I saw on the Storygraph that it was the case, and that is contemporary. For me, I don't see like YA as a genre, because YA can be contemporary, fantasy, science fiction, can be everything. I see YA as like an age group, so therefore I had contemporary as a genre. So what I like in contemporary, the topic needs to be interesting to me. So for example, The Hate You Give I really liked because the topic was very interesting. Then representation, I just need representation. For example, one of my favorite books is The Art of Being Normal by Lisa Williamson. This is a book about a transgender girl. Yeah, as you can see, transgender girl. So that's very important to me. Again, characters, lovely characters, and pace. There needs to be something happening. Doesn't matter what, but something like, for example, growth of the character or something like that. Or just interesting conversations with people around the characters, stuff like that. What I dislike is, for example, I need good pace, as I said, and for example, Insurgent wasn't that. It was just, I read like a couple of pages of that book and it was just so different from the first book that I didn't like it. Then characters again, for example, a book that I read was What Milo Saw. Those characters just weren't the best and therefore I didn't really like the book. Pace again, also Out of My Mind by Sharon M. Draper that I read recently. That one was also just, pace wasn't that good. Like in the middle there was just a very slow part. Wasn't anything interesting happening, therefore I didn't really like it. And what I also really don't like is if it's just way too much on the romance. So, for example, Strange Dreamer with its YA. At one part it was just all about romance, I didn't like that. Next up is romance. So, romance is a genre that I am not going to read anymore because I just don't like it. The only romance that I am going to read is gay romance because I vibe with that, and this is a good example. Better Than People by Rome Parrish. I just love this book. Again, also just the character and the writing, but also the romance itself. So I'm only going to be reading gay romances from now on. Next genre, classics. So yeah, this is one that is tough. So in classics, what I really need is an easy writing style, and that's almost never the case with classics, and an interesting topic. And I wrote a couple of things down. For example, one of my favorite classics is Peter Pan. but also Winnie the Pooh or Christmas Carol. And I was like, okay, so the only classics I like is basically children's classics. But I also really liked The Catcher in the Rye, which is more like YA, and I also really liked To Kill a Mockingbird. That one, again, the writing was just pretty easy, and also just the topic was very interesting. And yeah, what I just dislike in classics is difficult writing style, a topic that I just don't like. So for example, Great Gatsby and Jane Austen, don't like it. Next up is historical fiction. This is a genre I really need to read more of, but just important is the topic, basically. For example, I like reading about World War II, but there needs to be like a twist to it, because I already know quite a lot about World War II. So for example, I think it's called Auschwitz Lullaby. That one had like a different view on it, which I just really liked. And a book that I also really liked is All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Dower. Need to reread this. This one is also, I think, about World War II. Yeah, and this one is about a girl that is blind. So yeah, that's also a twist to the World War II topic, for example. Next is science fiction. So what I really need in science fiction is good pace and, again, characters, but also world building. So what I really like is world building, as I said. For example, Ready Player One. This world is just very interesting, very well thought out, and just a very good book, in my opinion. What I also really like is just characters, as I said. For example, The Time Traveler's Wife is one of my favorite science fiction books. I just love the characters in that, and also just the concept, of course. Pace, very important. Dark Matter by Blake Crouch, for example. That one is super fast paced, and I just love that. Then the writing, I just need good writing. For example, the Murderbot Diaries by Martha Wells. Very good writing, and also all of the other things, of course. What I really dislike in science fiction that I found out is when it's too complex. For example, if you go to movies, I don't like Star Wars because it's just too complex. There's just too much happening. For example, Dune, I DNF'd because of that. Then characters, I need good characters. One of the books I didn't like was The Humans by Matt Haig. Just didn't vibe with the characters, wasn't interesting enough. Pace, I need good pace. So for example, 1984 by George Orwell. Like in the middle part it was just very, very slow, wasn't anything happening, didn't like that. I did like the beginning and the end, but the middle was just not for me. And writing, of course. For example, The Road, I really didn't like. Because of the writing, basically. Because the rest, the world building was very interesting, but the writing was just very bad. Next up is non-fiction. This is a very broad thing, of course. But the only non-fiction I like to read is like biographies or like, biographies. And like on topics that I just really found interesting. So topic is very important, and writing. For example, one of my favorite non-fiction is this one, Underprivileged Overachiever by Y.A. Salimu. This one is just very well written, and also, yeah, a very, very interesting topic. And yeah, that's a good example of non-fiction I really like. Then poetry, I don't read a lot of poetry because, again, the writing is very important for me in poetry, which means that it's just easy to understand, and the topic. So one of a poetry collection I really liked is this one. This is a Dutch one. Poems from the Brother of Rose by Tim Hofman. And yeah, this is very easily written, which I therefore really liked. And yeah, topic is pretty interesting. But also a good one is, for example, The Black Flamingo by Dean Atta. Then fiction, same story basically, is writing and topic. Fiction, I have an example here. A Man Called Ove, I call fiction. I like this one because of the writing and the topic. And yeah, fiction is also a little bit difficult sometimes, but yeah, these are the kind of books that I do like. Then, next page. Basically, what I don't like in books, and also what I'm just not going to read anymore. 1. Short stories. I just don't vibe with short stories, and I'm not going to try it again. Maybe sometime in the future, maybe for the video, but not right now. I just need longer time with characters and the world. Classics, I'm just not going to read anymore, except for like children's classics and maybe ones that are like easily written, but that's sometimes hard to see. I'm not going to read romance chick lit anymore, just heterosexual romance basically. Literary fiction, I don't think I'm going to read that anymore. I don't have the brain power right now for like difficult books. So at the moment I'm just not going to read that anymore. And what I also don't like is at the moment is sad books. So for example, I really want to read Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe this month. But I remember that I felt very sad whilst reading this book, so therefore I'm just not going to read that right now. So basically what I just really don't like in books are these things. And if I go see to my DNFs, I DNF a lot of fiction books, I DNF a lot of romance, I DNF a lot of thrillers, and I DNF a lot of classics. So classics I'm just not going to read anymore. Romance, the same. Fiction, I just need to be more careful with it. And thrillers, same thing. But I think I know now a little bit the thrillers that I do like. So I hopefully can see that more. So basically my reading taste really revolves around characters. That is just the most important thing for me. If I like the characters, I will probably like the story, and the topic is just very important to me. And then the last thing is that I need to read more of these genres. So I really want to read more horror, as I said. Again, TBR coming up. I really want to read more science fiction, but then be more specific about my science fiction. I really want to read more true crime. I'm actually currently reading a true crime book, and I'm loving that, so I really want to read that more. And I really want to read more non-fiction. I think I do read quite a lot of non-fiction, but I just want to do it more, and then on topics that I find interesting. So then next up, I want to go through my TBR with you guys and see if my TBR is the same as my reading tastes. So first up, let's look at the library books I still have. So I have 5 library books that I still haven't read yet. So let's start with the ones that are the one that is on my TBR for this month, and that is On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous by Ocean Vuong. So this is fiction. So what I like in fiction, as I said, is characters, writing, and what did I say? Topic. Topic of this book I think I will really like. And there is representation in this book, which is very important, and therefore I will probably like the character. I'm not sure about the writing, but I think it will be not too difficult. And it's a pretty short book, so I am going to read this one. Next one is I'm Thinking of Ending Things by Ian Reid. This one is horror and psychological horror, so I am going to read that one. Then science fiction, Dry by Neil Shusterman and Jared Shusterman. This one I'm a little bit on the fence about, because it is YA, which I'm not super in the mood for anymore. And also it's pretty long, and I don't super like long books. So, which I found out as well. So, yeah, this one I like the topic because it's like dystopian, and basically when the world goes dry, basically they need water. The main character is called Alyssa, and yeah, I think this will, yeah, I'm just gonna try it. I'm just not sure, but we shall see. Then I have Warcross by Marie Lu. I am going to read this because I loved Ready Player One, and this is basically a more diverse version of that. So yeah, I'm reading this. Then I have Under the Dome by Stephen King, and I've decided not to read this one because it's too long, basically. And I've already tried this one and I just didn't like it. I might read it in the future, but just not right now. It's just way too long for me. I didn't like the other long book that I read by Stephen King, so that's a no. So for 3 yeses, 1 probably and 1 no. Then going on to my TBR for this month, I have these 4 books left. So I wasn't going to read literature anymore. This is literature. I have tried this. I have tried to read this. Didn't vibe with me. And I did like this author in the past, but as I said, my reading tastes have really evolved, sort of. I did like literature a lot when I was like, that was like 5 years ago, but I don't really like it anymore. So I'm not going to read this. And I'm going to unhaul it. Same thing with Herman Koch. Yeah, this is more fiction. I don't know what it's about, but yeah, I'm just not feeling it, and I'm basically shoving it on and on in time, so that's not good. This one is, this one I find difficult, but I think this is a romance, which I said I wouldn't read anymore, and it's a romance between 2, a heterosexual couple. So I don't think I'm going to read this. Which means that my vlog for reading white books will be different, or I'm not going to do it anymore. But you will definitely see the Poppy War, but we shall see. I'm just not going to read this. And I think the same thing with this one. This is more, I think, historical fiction. But yeah, I just don't know. This one is very difficult for me. Yeah. Have you read this? Please let me know. And also, yeah, it's long. I'm not going to read it. So, basically, I don't have a lot of books left on my TBR then. I think like 1. But let's see in my notebook. Sorry if this is a little bit of a long video. But let's see if I have books left on my TBR. No. Only 1, and that is Ship of Magic by Robin Hobb. Then going on to the owned books that I still need to read. First off, this one, Raymond A. Feist. I think this is just fantasy. I don't think this is set in the real world or anything, so I'm definitely going to read this series. Then, my box set of Sarah Waters. This one is difficult for me because I got this from my parents years ago, but I still haven't read them. I tried reading 2 of them. These 2 I have tried to read this, but the writing is too difficult for me, basically. So I'm gonna unhaul this finally, and yeah, it's just not happening for me right now. There is too much going on for me reading like difficult books. Then Jodi Picoult. So I'm definitely going to read this one, 19 minutes, because this topic just really, just sounds really, really interesting. I am going to read this one because this is about the school shooting. Sounds like a very interesting topic, so I'm definitely going to read this one. Then Lone Wolf, I don't think I am going to read because, yeah, basically the topic just doesn't sound super interesting. Yeah, I don't know. They need to choose if they want him to live or something. But yeah, I'm not going to read this one. Then My Sister's Keeper. This one I'm not sure. I don't think I am going to read this one. I don't like family struggles most of the time, and these two are really about family struggles. So I'm not going to read these. Yeah. The thing is, these books I have bought like years ago, most of them. So therefore, yeah, my reading tastes have really changed. So therefore, it looks like I'm unhauling a lot of books, which is true, but it's just because my reading tastes have changed so much. Next book, the Michael Jackson tapes. I am wearing a shirt. Yeah. I think this book will really make me sad. So I'm not going to read it. Hey, nice and easy. Then I have Mr. Mercedes by Stephen King. I am going to read this one because this is a detective story, which I said I like this. So I'm going to read that. And then the last book that I have on my TBR is War and Peace by Tolstoy. This is a classic. It's very long. I don't think the writing will be easy, so I am not going to read this. So basically, the books I am going to read still are these three. So Jodi Picoult, this won't be a vlog. My challenge video for that is not going to happen. I'm going to read this, and this vlog will be happening. And then the white vlog, I might start with an idea that I have for a new challenge. So I think I will do that. But yeah, that's basically it. I feel lighter. I feel like I know a little bit more about my reading taste, and I really just need to focus on that and not what is on my shelves or what other people are reading. So, and I really want to buddy read or something. I'm just not going to do that anymore. So, what have we learned today? We have learned my reading tastes, and yeah, basically that I really need to be more just looking at the books more critically, so I can just enjoy books more, I think. So yeah, that's going to be it for this video. Please let me know down below what your reading tastes are. Do you know? Maybe this video has helped you a little bit. And yeah, I really hope you liked this video. So please give it a thumbs up, comment and subscribe. And I will see you later.